to give me the information or not?
Maybe. Maybe not. First, I'm going to need a few things. Let's start with the obvious, a lighter sentence. Non-negotiable. What else? Some conjugal visits. In case Constable Delaney ever wants to swing by. Do you need me to slow down, mate, so you can grab a pen or
I'm
something?
not here to negotiate.
Then this has been fun. I like the prior commitment. Places to be.
Rose was right. This was a waste of time.
What does that mean?
We had a bet.
Didn't take you for the gambling type.
I bet that you would be the kind of coward who would cut a break line. Rose wasn't so sure.
So she does talk about me.
Sometimes. She likes to tell the story of how she double-crossed you. That must have burned.
We are Si and Sophie. This is Coastal News, a home and away podcast, your weekly episode companion podcast for your favourite Aussie soap.
Right, before we get into this, Sophie, I need to talk to you about Thunder Hail.
About what?
Thunder Hail. Did you have
Thunderhail?
like hailstones in the week with thunder and lightning, and the hailstones were like the size of golf balls, setting alarms off and everything?
No, nothing like that.
We
I've
did.
I've had rain, and then I had to drive up to Hull on Tuesday night, and it was sleeting, like almost trying to snow. But no hail, no thunder.
Yeah. We've had all seasons. We've had the hail, the thunder, the snow, the sleet, the rain, and today it feels very spring. Sun's out.
It is better today, isn't it? Although it has been raining
Warmer.
my way. I know you've had sunshine because you've had your washing out, haven't you?
Yeah.
And I haven't.
Insight into our exciting conversations. Yeah.
I'm very jealous. I've still got stuff hanging off radiators, but yeah.
I was taking it out of the machine and I thought, oh, do you know what? I'm declaring it. I'm going to go and get this outside.
Oh, I think
and
well, you go.
I was saying it's a very British. All Brits will completely, be on board with that first peg of the washing out of the year.
Yeah.
Like, I'm calling summer, guys. Whoop, whoop, whoop.
Oh, I can't wait. Apparently, Monday is the first official day of spring. I don't know how they calculate this. But yeah, it's Monday. Monday, whatever day Monday is. 20th, would it be? Yeah.
God, is it 20th of March already?
I know. It feels like it's gone really slow and really fast at the same time this year. It's bizarre.
Very, very strange. Very strange. Very strange. And you've watched Home and Away, of course.
Of course.
Where it's always summer.
Yes. Even when it looks very chilly. But it's still got a t-shirt on.
Slap a filter on it.
Oh dear.
Be fine. Do you want your headlines?
I do.
One day you'll say you won't, and I won't know what to do. Mac agrees to dish out second chances. Cash pays a visit to prison, looking for answers from Tex, of course. Theo receives a gift from his superfan. And Stacey's caught red-handed, red-faced, and just red.
Please take the time to like, subscribe, and review Coastal News wherever you source your podcasts, and ensure you never miss an episode.
Joined the week on Monday, didn't we? We'll pick up from last week's podcast. And Mac, she's smelling a rat with the whole Gabe turning up, if you remember. And he seemingly had a great life, and she even says to him, oh, if your life's so great, how come you can't live without me? You and I were saying, weren't we, why now? What's changed? Something's going on. We were a bit sus, weren't we, about not really getting the full picture of why he's decided. We've now found out 4 years down the line from jilting our poor Mac there, that he's decided to turn back up with that check, if you remember, that she handed back to him. And she says she's having it out with Dean, isn't she? Because Dean's Dean sort of took him to one side and had a chat with him, hadn't he? And he's really the first one that's listened to him since he's got back, because Mackenzie's sort of dismissed him, hasn't she? And Dean's sort of sympathised with him a moment and sort of tries to get through to Mac. You know, he was in a bad moment at the time. Rick got to him when he was in a low ebb, and needed the money, and just Rick being Rick. You know, something that Mackenzie knows very well.
Yeah.
How Rick can operate. You know, smooth operator. And I'm going to try and not burst into song because I know people hate that. And she says to Dean, who chooses money over the one they love? How can he have loved her if he was willing to take the 50k? What do you make of this?
I just don't. Where's this Dean come from? This new Dean? Like, I don't. Last week I was praising Dean because he went full river boy. You know, he didn't know why he was chucking this guy out, didn't know who he was, but he went straight in there and told him to sling his hook, didn't he? And I was just like, yes, love this.
I'm not here to negotiate.
I'm not here for a chat, mate.
Yeah, that was it.
Get out. But then now he's found out the truth, because that at the time he didn't know why Mac didn't want him at the bar, did he? He didn't know who he was, or he found that out later on. And I would have thought, knowing Dean, because he's very protective, isn't he? And he's very, like a bull in a china shop a lot of the time. I'd have thought once he heard his sister had been jilted and this guy had took 50 grand and basically dumped her, I didn't think he'd be, I don't know, finding, something common ground with this guy and like giving him a chance. I thought he'd kick off, I'll be honest. So I'm a bit confused by who this Dean is.
How's he not knocked him to Reefton Lakes already?
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right there. Why is he not sort of
he's
acted first and thought later? Yeah.
Yeah, he's kind of justified it to Mac, hasn't he, by saying, well, I did the same thing. You know, when I first found out that you existed, Rick offered me money to get lost, and I actually did take it. And he kind of said it like that. But I was like, that's different though, because you didn't know Mac at that time. She, you found out you got a sister, but you didn't know her. So it's not like it's not like you've grown up together and spent years together and like you cared for each other, loved each other, and then he offers you money and you take it. That would be different, wouldn't it? Whereas this guy, he's agreed to marry her. I think it's totally different. So
I think it is. I think what Dean was trying to say was, I agree it was completely different, but I think Dean was trying to say, I've also been on the receiving end of that manipulation. Yeah. And I can sort of see why you would go with it, even if you think it's completely ludicrous and I can't believe you've even done that. Yeah. Like I can sort of see how someone would. Do you know what I mean? I think that was what he was trying to convey.
Yeah.
But I do agree with you. You can't. It's apples and oranges, isn't it? Yeah. Do you know what I mean? You can't really compare the two. He tells her to listen to him, and she does, doesn't she? She gives him a bit of a chance, and then he sort of I'm going to say muscles his way. He sort of managed to get in with her, hasn't he? And she's agreed this dinner, and then he's sort of hanging around then. And I can't work out whether she's doing this with trepidation, whether she's just going along with it thinking, oh, he'll leave soon, whether she genuinely wants to try and give it a go. I can't really work it out, me.
No, I can't. And if I was Mac, I'd be having a lot more questions. Okay, so I hear him out because I've agreed to go along with it because Dean, Dean's persuaded me. I go out for dinner with him, but I don't act like we did 10 years ago, when we were having fun together. I'd be like, right, so what's happened? What happened when you left? Where have you been? What's happened since I last seen you? Why are you back? What's in your life at the moment? I'd want to know all the answers to those questions. I wouldn't be just talking about business and Rick and Dean and how it's been.
Yeah.
I'd be asking him loads of questions. Why have you come back now? Yeah. Have you been with someone else? Has that broken down? Is this why you've gone away? Yeah. Like, where have you been for 4 years and what have you been doing with your life? Apart from this restaurant that he's supposed to be running.
Yeah, and and so he's supposed to have two restaurants, isn't it?
Yeah.
Two of the best restaurants in
Brisbane, I think he said.
Here we go again.
That's Brisbane. north of Sydney, apparently, in Queensland. I think.
She's looking at Google. She's got a tab open.
I haven't, but I am getting it open as we're talking. Let me just check. I don't want to embarrass myself again. Brisbane. So Brisbane is a city in Australia. Is the capital of Queensland. Yes, it is north.
Yeah.
But on
zooming in as we speak. Google Earth in it as we speak.
It's north of Sydney, up the coast there. Quite far up the coast.
Up. So he's got some swanky places up there, but he's sort of acting like he's got some sort of claim to salt. He's like walking behind the counter, making a coffee, hiring staff, asking them for their resume, like, stepping in, and it really puts Mac's nose out of joint. You can see it all over her face, can't you?
Yeah, I just don't understand at all. I wouldn't even be giving him 5 minutes, I'll be honest. I just somebody that took 50 grand off my dad and jilted me, and it sounds like he left her a note. He didn't even tell her to her face.
Oh, so, yeah, it's like the whole Section of City post-it. Yeah.
He broke up with me on a post-it.
He's post-it guy. Yeah.
Oh dear. Yeah.
We're not happy with him, are we?
He's burger.
Burger. We're not happy with him in the slightest, and we don't want him. And now he's sniffing around the business to me, very, very quick, and that's alarm bells. Me and you are looking for why he's here.
Yeah, was this check real? Like, if she cashed that check, would it have bounced? Is he in trouble? I just don't get it. I'm really sus.
She's not even like forgiven him, or they've gone on one meal and he's already trying to get his elbow into the business. To me, he's not here for Mac. He's here for something else. He's flashed the cash at her. He's trying to get into the salt and trying to, make decisions about how salt's run. Yeah. I'm a very, very wary. Alarm bells are ringing. She's in tonight's episode. She sort of says to him, I can't even forgive. How do you begin to forgive someone so easily?
Yeah.
For what you did, you broke me,
Yeah.
And then you're here and you're wading yourself in again and making decisions and trying to run things for me when it's my patch, in a nutshell.
Yeah.
I'm thinking, that's what he's here for. He's here for is he got some expansion plans? It's something business related.
Do you think?
And I think he's trying to take advantage of her.
Well, it wasn't long after that conversation that they ended up back at her house and sort of tearing each other's clothes off. So
it was a bit hot that though, wasn't it?
It was nice to see Mac get a bit of action, I'll be honest, but I just don't trust this guy at all. I don't know why she is, really.
No.
If we're so sus of him, why isn't she?
The thing is, as well, she's supposed to be a worldly woman, good head on her shoulders, businesswoman, and I just feel like she's walking into an absolute, like, she's going to lose everything again type situation.
She's only just clawed the business back, really, hasn't she? And I don't think they are, on top yet. I think they're still getting by. Speaking
of which, minor segue. The whole Lyric are out of action for obvious car crash reasons, and she's there today, and she's like, they're obviously cancelling the gig. And she's like, no worries, take as long as you want. I won't hold you to your contracts. I'm thinking, 4 weeks back, and like the restaurant was going to go under when they didn't do one gig.
Yeah, I know. It seems a bit ridiculous. I don't know why they can't do like Kirby and Theo, because they're they're songwriters and they seem to be able to play the music together. Like he can sing it, she can play it on the keyboard, and they've got Justin to play guitar. They could put a little 3-piece together just to tide them over.
I'm pretty sure Atomic Kitten turned up to CD UK without Kerry when she'd been on a bender. Do you know what I mean?
Exactly.
Without Kerry Katona.
Yeah, I think they could probably cobble something together. They could do like an acoustic set or something in the meantime.
Yeah,
make it a bit more of a romantic evening type vibe rather than a. I know we'd cringe, but it's business, isn't it? It's I don't understand. Or why haven't they got insurance? The band, they should be insured against not being able to play gigs due to illness and injury and all of that sort of stuff. So that's another question. They're saying, we've got no money, we've got to cancel all the gigs. Why have they got no business insurance?
Oh, yeah.
So
Oh, you raised some very valid points here.
I think
Yeah,
band manager Justin has dropped the ball.
you're telling me. Yeah. Well, so there's that happening. Yeah, I don't. He's after the business, which now he can thrive without a fortnightly gig from Lyric. We needed that we needed a missed call from Ziggy, just like Dean got to get us out of this situation, because it took Dean out because Ziggy's there. She's had 15 contractions.
Yeah.
Oh no, contractions 15 mins apart.
Oh yeah, that was
Read your notes, Simon. Read your notes.
Yeah.
And when he gets home, she's like, "Get me to the hospital. I was gonna faint because I don't do childbirth on TV."
No, me neither.
He's packed the bag. Panic. He's packed the bag. The remote's in the remote control is in the hospital bag. He's put all the wrong things in out of panic. They got to the hospital and it's all stopped. And it was the good old soap that wheels out every pregnancy on a soap, Braxton Hicks. And something that obviously very common pregnancy. But this means he sort of is whipped into shape about getting prepared for when the day arrives, and he approaches Marley. What?
I'm laughing because they've had ages to sort this stuff
God.
out, and they're only just now. She's literally days away from having this baby, and they've only just now gone, oh, paternity leave, maternity leave. Oh, I'm like, oh God, guys, seriously.
First thing I've just found out I'm pregnant. When can I stop?
Exactly. That's the only good bit, right?
I nearly adopted when I found out I could have 52 weeks adoption leave. I was like, "Who can I adopt?"
You can adopt me if you like.
Oh, funny times. So he's lining up Marley to cover. Now we saw this, didn't we, when we were doing first look last week? Yeah, we said, is he going to cover him? Now, as this was playing out on screen this week, I don't know about you, but I was a bit like, Marley's got no. They don't really know him that well, other than he's a supplier of the shop.
He's got another job. This is what I was confused about this week. They've obviously said, oh, he lives miles away up the coast, as he keeps saying. He lives miles away. He's got this huge family. He's a family orientated person. He's already got a job. We know he's as a board shaper. So he's not just coming to town as somebody who's looking to stay and looking for a job. And now he's been offered a job when he's already got one. It's all very confusing, this.
Yeah, and in the WhatsApp, his family seem really tight. In the WhatsApp chat, his family, don't they? Where do they live? A Sprinkly Point or something, something like that up the coast.
It sounded really nice, but he said it was quite far up the coast, didn't he? So it's not nearby. It's not like he can drive in the morning and open the board shop. I get the impression it's much further away than that.
Yeah.
And also, what happens to he's already got a job. So what happens to his other job while he's doing Dean's job?
Yeah,
I didn't really get this.
No, I didn't either. And the fact that he's really never done it, like he's not qualified. He's never done any retail.
No.
He admits that he's not the best thing. And then Ziggy goes, he sounds perfect.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no, he doesn't.
Have you ever done lessons? No. You'll be fine. Yeah.
He doesn't sound perfect. He's just convenient.
Yeah, exactly. He's just there. She said something like, have you ever taught before? Or have you ever thought about teaching? He's like, no, I never considered it. I was like, okay. And then she went, oh, you'd be great. You'd be a natural. I was like, based on what evidence?
I know. I was like, okay. If you say so. You see, because realistically, what you would have done is gone to the gym or something and been like, okay, can we do a bit of a deal to cover the surfing lessons? Because they do classes out on the beach, don't they? They do, you know what I mean? You'd work something out with those, surely, wouldn't you?
Yeah. Or the the surf life saving club. There must be somebody that's a member of that actually surfs and can teach surfing. And I don't know. Obviously we need a new character, and this is how they're going to bring him in. But it's not looking as obvious as they're trying to make it out at the moment.
Yeah. And he spends a couple of hours thinking about it, agrees. And then let's cut to the chase. This is now a reason for Marley to stay in the bay, isn't it? And get sort of intertwined and get cemented into the community. As you say, introduce a new character. Marley seems to be going down well as well with viewers, doesn't he? I had a bit of a look on what some of the viewers are saying online, and everyone's really liking him. First impressions seem good.
I think everyone's quite keen on him, actually. I mean, he does seem like a nice guy, doesn't he? I mean, we don't know what his backstory is because we know we've been here before.
Yeah, we're looking for the secret. Yeah.
We're looking, and that's what someone tweeted this week. They said, "Oh, I hope he hasn't got like some kind of hideous backstory, and he turns out to be a psychopath." Which is, you know, as I say, we've been here before, so we're twice bitten, aren't we?
He's one of Al's wives.
We just don't know. So hopefully he's not a psychopath. As I think it was Kate Diesel Keds that tweeted us that. Yeah, I don't know. First impressions, I think he seems quite a nice guy. He does seem quite normal.
Yeah, happy-go-lucky.
Yeah.
I mean, easy on the eye.
Yeah.
You know, he seems really smiley, having a laugh. He seems really easy to get along with. So I feel like in terms of other characters on the show, I think he would slot in with pretty. I can't see him running into anybody with any great trouble.
Yeah.
So yeah, you know, a good positive introduction of a character. And we say it's rare that we like a character that gets introduced, but true. It's becoming more common these days. Every time one is like, it's rare we like this one. Everyone that arrives. You know, sometimes
I think it's helping that he knows Dean, isn't it? I think because Dean's a popular character, and the fact that this guy knows Dean and he's got this link, and within 10 minutes of being in the first episode he was in, you know, he had a scene with John, he had a scene with Dean and Ziggy, he had a scene with Mac. JP, yeah. So he's already integrated.
Sticking in it.
That means Jackie Potato in my house. So JP and cheese. So not sure about JP, but I think that's what's helped, because when you think about who we haven't automatically clicked with and our reasons for that, you know, Kirby, it's taken a while to get to know her because she's not been integrated that quickly.
Yeah.
But with Marley, that first episode, he was like, he knew everybody. Nico was introducing himself. You know, he was checking out Stacey. He's had a meeting with JP. He's gone shopping with Mac and put the little surfboard up on the nursery wall. You know, we've seen him interact with about half a dozen people already.
It makes a difference, doesn't it?
Absolutely. It does.
When you compare it to Kirby like that, it's miles apart. He's very similar to Dean, so it's like that's he's gonna take on the Dean legacy. He already fits storyline wise into the whole surfboard shop, so that's that covered. You know, he's very similar age, similar sort of temperament. You know, he's obviously the Dean replacement. It's to carry that legacy on. You know, that Dean's. You know, Dean's been so popular. You know, when he's a similar character to Dean, really, in my eyes. I don't want to say replacement. I'll say continue the legacy.
Yeah, Dean 2.0.
Let's talk about Tex, shall we? Tex. Right. We couldn't stop messaging about this. So, Cash has gone down to the old slammer.
Yeah.
And he's gone to speak to Tex to level with him. Cash is obviously, as we know from last week, he's listened to the transcripts of these, or the recordings of these, you know, these bugs, and he's spoken into the bug. I'm after you. Name a time, name a place. You know, he's out for it. Cash has sort of got his revenge helmet on, hasn't he? And he's not really thinking straight. So he's gone to the prison to visit Tex. And Tex is giving nothing away, isn't he? He needs basically something concrete that's going to tell him that it was Tex that ordered the hit. That's what he's after. So he knows, you know, in his own mind, and then he can take whatever decision from there. And so Tex is giving it the whole, how's Rose? Does she ask about me? You know, proper like winding him up. And I just loved these scenes at the prison. It's simple. I just loved him. I just loved the cheekiness of Tex. I loved how wound up Cash was. And I just thought I could watch this for the whole half an hour.
I know.
I could have watched that as a whole 2-hander episode. I really could.
I could as well. I think you and I really like these kind of storylines. There's some people on the hashtag that are not so keen, and they don't want the bikey story to come back again. And there's some people that don't like that criminal gang aspect that we've got in Home and Away. Not keen on the River Boys, not keen on the bikey kind of stories. But I'm a big fan. I'll be honest. I love these kind of stories. I love a prison scene. I love a bad cop kind of. Yeah, I love it.
Yeah, same. And I do get a bit caught up in the moment, me. You know what I mean? Don't like it all the time, but I do like a bit of drama.
Yeah.
And I do sort of get a bit sucked in. I'm a bit of a sucker for that. Just Cash is, says he knows it was you who cut the brakes, and he's trying to get Tex to say it was him, and Tex is having none of it, isn't he? Denies it. He's got a load of requests. He wants time shaving off his sentence, doesn't he? Conjugal visits, just in case Rose wants to pop by.
I know. I was thinking, like, who are you thinking to invite, mate? Oh dear.
I had to Google Tex conjugal visit wait list. Get my name down. Get on the list.
You can see you on Monday, love. Don't worry.
And he's having none of it, Cash, is he? And
No.
So Tex wants help from the judge.
He messes up, doesn't he? Tex. He says, "Oh, I'm sorry about your sister and Eden." And then did you see Cash's face then? He just smiled like a Cheshire cat, didn't he? He was like, "Oh, I've got everything I need." You just said Eden. Yep. You don't even know Eden. You weren't even in the bay when Eden was around. Yep. How'd you know her name?
Therefore, must have ordered the hit.
Yeah.
So
because we know the night before.
Got what he needed.
Yeah, the night before, Irene was in the house. That horrible scene where we were cringing because Irene's like over the bug, doesn't know the bug's there, but she's like hanging over it, going, "Know anything about those brakes?
Have you heard anything from the police yet, Dal?"
We're like, "Shh, Irene!" And he's like, "Get out my house." So yeah,
she's there trying to put her boots back on.
I know. Bless
Getting
her.
ushered in.
Getting pushed out the door, but she's like, "Oh, poor Eden, and poor Flick." So we know that he's heard all this now, don't we? So
can
I ask one thing? Can I just ask one thing that I don't understand? A bit of a hole in the storyline. So if these bugs have been in that house, and we know the plan was for Cash to drive Flick to her wedding in this ute, and that's why they've sabotaged it. That's why they've cut the brakes, and they're after Cash. They're not after Tane. They've not realised that Flick, Cash's sister, is marrying Tane, who was supposed to also be caught up in the bust, the bikey bust. Supposed to also get, I presume, a similar sentence to Tex. That seems to have maybe the recording didn't pick up his name. I don't know. How do they not understand that Flick was marrying Tane? And that was the same Tane that put them in prison.
They don't know that Tane was the informant.
No, they don't. But they should have worked it out by now. If he was smart, he would have worked that out by now, because he'd be like, okay, so according to the police, they didn't know, like they weren't informed by Tane. According to Cash, he's just busted them. He's just got lucky. He's busted the bikies, and that's what's happened. But if Tex was smart, he'd be like, well, how come Cash is living with Tane? How come his sister's marrying Tane? How come he's okay with that when Tane was caught up with all the stuff that we were doing with him, and he's bought the gym with dodgy money from a robbery? I just don't. There's a little bit of a hole there that I'm not quite sure about.
You think they would have? They should know more than they do.
Yeah.
Especially if they've had that bug in the house for I don't know how long.
Exactly. How many Tanes are there in Summer Bay? I'm just not sure.
I don't know, unless they just thought, not messing with him.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
He's jiu-jitsu master.
Yeah.
He's got shoulders the size of Queensland.
Yeah, that's true.
Well, because there's that we'll come on to that conversation, where Tane learns about the bugs, because he didn't know about it, did he, until
No.
he spots Cash trying to put him in his pocket, and he makes him go for a walk, puts him in the bin, and then he's like, they've bugged the house, what the hell? And he basically says, you've got to leave, it's not safe. And I'm thinking, well, you've got this far, so you've got a point what you're saying, Sophie, to be fair. Like, you'd think they would have, what makes any of them safer than any of the others, really?
I don't know. That's what I don't understand, because Cash is obviously a target because of what happened. He shot Marty, didn't he? And Marty died. That's why they're going for him. And, the bust got them sent to prison. But Tane was also there and appears now to have got off scot-free because he's living with the copper and he's marrying the copper's sister. That would send me thinking, what's going on here? Flick should be a target simply because she's related to Cash, surely.
You thought so, especially as we suspect she's Plan B, don't we?
Yeah. I don't understand this. It's confusing me.
You're not as confused as Flick was when she got home from prison, from the hospital, though.
Oh yeah.
I think you were saying, weren't you, like, how on earth has she not learned? I mean, she does eventually, but how on earth is she the only one in the bay that doesn't know what happened to the brakes on the car? And she was in the blooming thing.
She was in the car, and Rue apparently has been away. Irene's apparently been away. We don't know where they've been, but they've arrived in the bay after the drama, and they know the brakes have been cut. Justin's telling everybody because he doesn't want people thinking it's his fault, do they? So he's telling everybody. So everybody knows, and it's the tiniest little place ever. Everyone talks. This is a big deal, isn't it? This crash.
Yeah.
So if they were trying to keep it a secret from Flick, why didn't they tell people? Oh, we're not telling her, or why didn't they accompany her? Like, why didn't they just let her roam free? Also, seeing as that now that Cash knows who. Cash knew before Flick left hospital who cut the brakes and what the deal was. So how come he's okay with her just wandering around town without anybody looking after her?
When she's a potential,
I think she's still a target. They know that that's his sister.
Yeah, a couple of things don't add up, really, do they?
No, I mean, I'm trying to just go with it because you have to, don't you? But I'm like, there's a lot of cheese holes in this, a lot of Swiss cheese holes in this storyline.
Well, we might have a few holes in the whole tonicity relationship entirely, because she finds out from Justin when she goes over to Leah's, because Leah's also out of hospital, and she's gone over there, hasn't she, as like with some flowers, and she's like, because Felicity's in this blaming herself mode, isn't she? I was running late to the wedding. I had that wobble. If I'd have been on time, we wouldn't have been on the road at that time. She's no idea that it was deliberate. At this point.
And they'd rather her think that. That's what I don't understand. So her brother and her boyfriend would rather her think that it's her fault than tell her that it isn't. I don't understand.
It's not on, is it? It's not on. So Justin just says, trying to not tell you. Actually, they were cut deliberately. Like, what the hell? And she's like, she absolutely sort of bowled over by that news, isn't she?
Yeah.
And she goes back to the house and sort of confronts Tane, sort of semi-confronts him about it. And he's like, I didn't think you were strong enough, and she is in an absolute way with it, isn't she? And I really feel for her, because she's got everybody around her trying to protect her, keeping things from her. She's riddled with this guilt that Eden, bearing in mind, Eden's still in a coma at this stage, like a good friend of hers, who might not make it still at this stage, She's got all this going on, and then she learns out that it was deliberate action, and everybody kept it from her. No wonder she's got into the stock cupboard for an old tipple.
I know. Yeah, that's what I don't understand. It's like they're trying to protect her by actually making it 10 times worse. This is what I don't get. Surely it's better for her to hear it from Tane or hear it from Cash, not from Justin or whoever would have blurted it out if it wasn't Justin.
Yeah,
I don't get it.
You'd have thought so, wouldn't you?
And then she's got her. She can be looking out for herself. If she's been told it was a targeted attack, the intended victim was Cash, she would have still been in the car, whether it was Cash that was the intended victim or not, because he would have been driving her to her wedding.
To the wedding. Yeah.
She's still in danger in my book. So she should be given that information so she can protect herself. That's what I'm sort of thinking. But I don't know. Maybe I'm definitely overthinking it, aren't I?
Yeah, but I mean, that's what we're here to do.
Yeah.
But yeah, I agree with what you're saying. I think you're right. I think it's a bit odd the way they've all behaved post what's gone on. Do you think this drink thing's going to be a bit of a thing, a bit of an issue?
I think so. Do you think we're going to go down the route of, when Mac was drinking a lot? And yeah, she was going through after she split with Ari and lost the baby and everything else. I'm wondering whether we're going down a similar route with Flick. I don't want to. I'm dreading it if we are, I'll be honest.
It depends how it goes, because when Felicity, we've seen Felicity on the grog, having a night out, haven't we? And she's dead fun and over loud and over the top and fun and dancing on bars and what's it going to be like?
I think it's going to be Mac again. Remember Mac when she was depressed and drinking?
Yeah,
I think it's going to. Yeah. Oh no! But imagine Flick like that. I don't think I can cope with her. What do you
remember that pool party at the Casa Parata? And Mac turned up absolutely arseholed. Oh, loved it.
I do remember. That was. Remember when Nico was a model? That was back then. Everyone's forgotten about Nico in his modelling days.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Famous Instagram, famous model.
Well, look at him now. Look at him now. Yes, let's keep an eye on her. If the grog becomes a problem, we might have a problem.
I might have to open a bottle or two. Go around Irene's with some vodka. Oh dear.
Irene will have a few things to say about that.
She will.
There's not really a lot to say about it, but I don't know about you. I wanted to bring it up because I thought we've only had like one scene between Brie and Remy this week.
Yes.
We've had a bit of a week off, but I think the one scene we had was absolutely gut-wrenching. And I thought, I wouldn't normally, if we only had a story visited and it was just like a quick cutaway scene, I wouldn't normally cover it. Would wait till next week. But I thought, do you want to mention it? Because I just thought, and then they've just left us with that, like, where's Remy gone? Where's Brie gone? Brie basically tells him in no uncertain terms, I can't allow myself to feel anything for you. It was an affair and that's all it was. I can't be around you. And I'm just like, no. And you proper kick in the gut for Remy.
It is, yeah. And you saw this coming, didn't you? You predicted this. You said that there was going to be a shift in the relationship once Jacob's gone. And we talked last week, didn't we? Was it a good idea to kill Jacob off? Should he have actually gone to prison? Should he have been caught? And would that have made this relationship with Brie and Remy different? Would she have come back and, been happy to see him and they would have, rekindled their relationship and been happier because, she's walked away from it, she's survived, but now she's dealing with all the guilt of what she's done, isn't she? And it's no longer, I think it's shifted it, hasn't it? Because if he'd gone to prison, he would be the one in the wrong, wouldn't he? He's the wife beater. He's done this to her. He's abused her. The marriage is over because of what he's done. He's in prison because of what he's done. Yeah. But with him being dead, he hasn't got that conclusion, has he? He hasn't taken responsibility for what he's done. We know what's happened, but nobody else does in the world, do they really? Because it's all been done behind closed doors.
Yeah.
And now she's being portrayed as the bad guy in inverted commas because she's killed him.
I know, and I still think that's absolute, awful for Brie's character. If I'm being honest, I think that's now changed the course of that character now for the remainder of her time on the show. Do you know what I mean? Like that.
Has it ruined that?
Yeah. The jury's out is still a thing, but you said it last week. That will now define her. You know, Bree, the one who killed her
Yeah.
wife-beating husband. You know, let's just see how that pans out over time. You know, and how this works. But I definitely saw Remy walking straight for like heartbreak.
Yeah.
You know, like I don't know. I don't think he quite expected to just, oh great, now he's out the way.
No.
You know, let's crack on with how we were. You know,
Yeah.
don't think he sort of expected that. I think he wants to be there for her. He
Yeah.
wants to console her, and she seems to have this guilt about sleeping with him before she killed him, which I just thought was an odd thing to emphasize.
Well, she feels
But
like she's cheated on Remy now, doesn't she? So rather than her cheating on Jacob with Remy, she feels like she's cheated on Remy with Jacob.
I know, but you
And
killed a bloke. Bloody hell, that's the last thing on your mind.
I know.
Surely.
I
Do you know what I
don't
mean?
know.
The whole thing's a right sticky mess.
It is.
Rose tries to talk to her. That's quite a nice moment, wasn't it? When Rose sort of said, "Do you need a friend?" So I have a feeling we're going to see a lot. We'll find out in first look tomorrow, but I have a feeling we're going to see a lot of those next week. And I don't, you know, Kirby's spending a lot of time over with Theo, and at Leah and Justin's house. Like, who's looking after Remy here? That's what I've been thinking all week. And who would have thought I'd say that?
And we've not. I know you changed your tune. We've not even heard them mention him, have we? Because sometimes we don't see someone on screen, and somewhat then another character might mention them, but we haven't heard Kirby going, oh, and Remy's at the hospital with Eden, and he's I don't know, she's not even talked about him, has it? It's like he's not even been around. So where has he been all week? Has he been moping? And also, what's going to happen with Bree? Is this over as far as the police are concerned? He's dead. It was an accident. Who actually decides that? And does she have to go to court? I don't know.
I know, so many questions still.
Yeah.
And we've just not seen anything this week, have we?
No,
Other than that.
It's been a bit strange, hasn't it? That it's just been like, oh, that's done. Yeah. Like you say, it'll probably come up next week now because it's this block storytelling, isn't it? So this week it was everything that was going on in the bay. Next week it'll probably be bikies and probably back to Bree. It looks like there's some more diggy stuff coming up next week, so maybe. But it does feel a bit like, okay, that's over. Okay, I was watching that, but never mind.
Yeah, sometimes when you're really into something, you're like, I need that, but you're going off somewhere else. Yeah, so just gotta be patient.
Yes.
Well, Leah's home as well. She was back this week, which touched on before. Justin's flapping, isn't he? Flapping. And proper like suffocating her. She even snaps later on and says she's suffocating me. Get out. Kirby and Theo were busy cancelling the gigs.
Well, they weren't, were they? They were driving me mad at the beginning of the week because the reason why we're talking about Justin is that he's worried about Leah, obviously, and they're going, "Oh, Justin needs to cancel all the gigs. Justin needs." I was thinking, you two, you need to grow up and do it yourself and stop bothering the man.
Yeah.
Because they came in one day, didn't they, into Justin and Leah's house, like while he's trying to look after Leah, who's just got home from hospital, and they're like, "Oh, Justin, you need to phone all these places." And I was like, "No, you do it. You've just said you've got no gigs, you've got no job, you've got nothing to do. Deal with your own admin. Leave Justin alone."
I know. And I was thinking, Justin was in the blooming car as well.
Yeah,
he's roly-poly down there.
Yeah,
I'm just thinking, just because he wasn't impaled by a metal rod.
You'd have some wicked whiplash from that rolling.
I know. And then he's got obviously nearly lost Leah. Leah was, another occasion where Leah's nearly perished. He's lucky. You can understand it, can't you?
And he's got there's got the garage as well because let's face it, Ziggy's never at work. Theo's never at work.
Well, didn't Ziggy actually announce her maternity leave halfway through all this? Yeah.
Oh, I've had Braxton Hicks. I'm off. That was basically it.
And Theo just thought it'd be okay putting a post out on social media. Life is hectic. We need to take a break.
I know. I did feel sorry for Justin this week. I just thought, just give the man a break. Just do your own bloody admin, band. You don't do anything.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
They do eventually, and they get to cancelling the gigs, don't they? Alf and Rue have had a couple of visits round just to try and save Leah's sanity. Alf tries to talk into Justin, doesn't talk to Justin. You need to sort of back off and like give her some breathing space. You can understand it, but it all comes good in the end after a bit of an argument and a bit of a talking to. They both agree to meet in the middle. I tell you what, though, Leah's looking good.
Leah is looking incredible for someone who's been impaled by a metal pole.
She is indeed, and she's had a mani. She's had a mani at some point.
She's got imperfect nails, perfect hair.
Yeah.
Yeah. I tell you what, when I had a very minor operation with tiny, tiny incisions, I didn't get out of bed for about a week after. I felt dreadful. I couldn't even wash my hair. So I don't know how she managed that. Yeah. She's lifting the kettle and everything.
Don't you feel bad now then?
I know, I feel like
should have tried harder.
I couldn't even sit up. So yeah, I don't know how she's managed that. I think it must be all that sunshine in there and sea air. It must be very healing.
It must be. Bionic woman she is. The
Yeah.
bionic woman. From one woman to another woman. We're going to talk about Stacey the Slut.
Harsh, but probably fair. Oh dear.
Well, we saw this coming, didn't we? My days.
Yeah. I've enjoyed this actually. I enjoyed the ending of this storyline very much.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
How come?
Just because of who found out and how. Well, I enjoyed this. The comeuppance. Egg on the face.
Well, as we know, Stacey's agreed to give monogamy a go with Xander. Xander doesn't trust her as far as he can throw her. And it's been a bit of a problem. Last week he did this whole weird with me after 2 weeks of agreeing to go steady. And then she was doing a class. There was some other scenes with Stacey where she's whinging about work again. That keeps happening.
No.
Have you noticed?
She wants money, but she doesn't want to do anything for it, does she?
Yeah,
she doesn't want to do her own job. Like she's like, oh, my boss has asked me to do my job.
Is that a writing device? I mean, obviously we're not writers. Is that a device that they put in there to help us build support for Xander? Do you know what I mean? Like, are those things deliberate? It might not amount to anything later on, but is that all sort of character build? It's like a little bomb of like hatred for her, like annoyance about her. And then in our subconscious, we're building this sort of profile of like, she's just horrible and she's going to do it. She's going to cheat on him. Do you know what I mean? I just wonder if it's some sort of, because it's not gone anywhere, has it? Her whinging about these shifts and things at work, or just being rude. Yeah. But it sort of has made me turn on her. You know what I mean?
There's nothing really redeeming about her, is there? That's the thing. I'm trying to think now. What do I actually like? Is there anything I like about Stacey? I don't think there is, actually, which is a horrible thing to say, but I can't think of anything nice to say about her.
No, I can't. She's rude. She's lazy. And she's doing this class, isn't she, outside? And one of them's given a number.
Yeah.
He's like chatting her up, isn't he? And,
he's a perv, isn't he?
Yeah, Rose thinks, it's proper Jack the Lad. Like, rack off.
Rack off.
And he then catches up with her in Salt afterwards, and she's getting a glass of water or whatever, and he sort of gives her a number. Now Nink's looking on. Nink knows about the whole thing.
Oh, he does. I love his little in the background, watching them. That was really like creeping in the background.
That would be so me. That would be me, that.
I thought that was really funny. And then he's all sort of off with her after that, isn't he? And like, he knows. He's not daft.
Of course he does. He's got her numbers marked, hasn't he?
Yeah.
And of course she gives in and she starts to that temptation. She does hesitate. I'm seeing someone.
For 5 seconds.
Who cares? Yeah. But it doesn't take long. She obviously arranges this date, meets up with him, goes in the car. Now, the bit you're talking about,
Oh, but
Night has
before that,
fallen.
she's
Yeah.
lied to Xander, hasn't she? Said because he's dressed up,
Oh,
sitting in Salt, waiting for her to arrive for a dinner date, and he's all excited and telling Rose, "Oh, I'm going out for a date."
he's
And
dressed
then
up.
he
How
gets
do
a
I look?
text, doesn't he, saying, "Oh, sorry." It's just a really flippant. I can't make it. Sorry. Ugh, that's nice.
Imagine texting that to your other half.
No, he'd be calling me. What do you mean? Where are you? What's happened? You know, like, tell me more. But that was such a cold text message.
Mm, mm.
Mm.
And then on a patrol, she's on the night shift, is Rose, isn't she? And she spots a steamy car in the car park.
Yeah. She muttered
She's
something as she got out the car, didn't she? She said something like, "Oh God, this is
yeah, like
this is the life," or something. I can't
yeah.
remember how
I
what
get
she
all the
said.
good jobs also.
Yeah,
Yeah, I can't
that
remember the
was
word. It
it.
was something along those lines, wasn't it? Yeah.
Dear.
Oh, winds the window down, and there's Stacey with her side boob
I love
buttoning up her
this.
cardi, watching it.
Oh,
Oh,
busted! I absolutely adored this because one, she's got busted, and two, it was by Rose. And Rose was actually really classy in this scene because I was expecting her to kick off and be like, "Oh, you're meant to be going out with my brother and making a real scene," but she didn't. She just went, "You can't do that here. You know, sort yourselves out and go." And then got
yeah.
back in her car, and I thought, yes, that's really classy. I mean, I know she was probably doing that because she was at work, so she's got a uniform on. They've got to behave in a certain way, etc. But I was really impressed by Rose for that moment where she kept her composure because she didn't
I
need to.
think
She didn't
so.
need to have a go at her, did she? Because her face said everything.
Yeah.
Stacey's
Well,
face.
yeah, the jig is up.
Yeah,
You know, it's going to come out, isn't it? Whatever happens now.
yeah,
I think if it was two randos, I think Rose would have booked them.
yeah, probably.
I think it being Stacey's probably saved that bloke's skin from getting booked.
Mm.
But you're right. Rose handled it with as much decorum as she could. The next morning, even, and Stacey's in a bit of a flip about it. Like, have you told him yet? And she's like, I'm not going to lie to my brother.
Yeah.
So I'm going to give you the opportunity to be honest. Don't make me tell him.
Yeah.
You know, and she has that conversation with Kirby because they've got a bit of friendship going on, haven't they? That's been a bit of an undercurrent bubble,
Yeah.
her and Kirby. And she's like, I really don't want to tell him the news. And you wouldn't, would you? Because after
No.
all that's happened with her saying, I don't like her, and with you know, and all after all that, now you'd be thinking, oh my God, I was right all along.
Yeah, and then it's shoot the messages, isn't it? So if you tell someone, "Oh, I saw your partner cheating on you," or whatever, they have a go at you first, don't they? That's the natural reaction of it, especially because he knows that they didn't get on. So he'd be like, "Oh, for God's sake, not this again! You're paranoid, blah blah blah." So I was actually really surprised by Xander's reaction to when Rose had to tell him, because I thought that I was waiting for him to go, "Oh, whatever, mate," you know what I mean, and just kick off.
I think he was expecting it.
Do you?
I think he sort of knew, you know, with the whole trusting her and everything, and the you know the the check, the phone, checking the phone and all that we had the other week.
That's true.
I think he was just, it was a matter of, for him, deep down, he knew it was going to be a matter of time. It was more of a when than an if.
Yeah,
you know.
it's inevitable.
I think he wanted to believe it could be, and he gave it a shot. You know, I think that was his. I think that's why he didn't kick off with Rose. I think he just thought, oh.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Of course, it was that. Yeah.
Because
he'd had that conversation, hadn't he? Because Nico had checked with him before. He was like, "Oh, you guys still, still exclusive?" And Xander was like, "Yeah, but I've kind of messed it up, because I asked her about the future and she wigs out. I jumped the gun and asked her to move in with me." So he knows that he's rattled her by getting too fast too quickly and all of that sort of thing. So
yeah. Nick just looked in that scene. That Nick just looked like he changed his mind and wanted to join in.
I know.
Like, oh, he's come back to find out if it's still on.
Yeah, to Xander, he would be like, "Why is he asking me that?" Yeah.
But yeah, I sort of felt for little cute Xander's face, and Rose is telling, he's like, "Why didn't I just listen to her?" And I'm thinking, yeah.
Because he didn't want to. He heard what he wanted to hear.
Yeah.
I did feel for him, but I'm also I'm a bit wary of Xander now because of how he's behaved with her. You know, she was really honest with him at the beginning. She was like, I don't really do monogamy. He kind of said, well, okay, whatever, I'll try the the polyamorous thing. He was honest and said it wasn't for him, and then she's changed her mind. But he said, like, she said she was struggling. She said she was going to struggle with it. And then instead of letting her go at her own pace, he's suffocated her constantly. Like, he's been hanging around while she's been teaching classes. He's been hanging around the surf club because she works there. He's asked her to move in with him. So he's already given me, like, bad signals about him. And there's red flags with Xander for me about how he is in relationships. Yeah, I don't really... I think he needs to work on himself a bit. I don't know. So I feel sorry for him because she has, proven to be untrustworthy and all that sort of stuff. But I do think Xander needs to have a look at himself a bit.
Yeah, he's trying to run before he can walk, isn't he? Yeah, you're right. I think he's very, very insecure.
Yeah.
And I think you summed it up right one time. Bit of a wet weekend.
Oh, I'm horrible. I'm so horrible. Sorry, Xander. He's so, isn't he? He'd drive me up the wall and be like, oh, get a grip, man. Okay, now it's time for Your Say on the Bay, which is the segment that we do at the end of each main pod episode, where we look at tweets and reactions on social media to see what the fans think of the show and everything that's been going on in the Bay this week. So, ready to do that, Si?
Ready, born ready.
Born ready. Okay, so just before we do that, just a quick reminder that we are on Twitter and Instagram at Coastal News Pod. If you're not on social media, we also have an email account, which is coastalnewspod@gmail.com. So if you want to get in touch with us and give us your thoughts, do that on the hashtag Home and Away on Twitter, or email us or message us, whichever you want to do, really, because we love hearing from you. And as we said last week on Your Say on the Bay, we've had loads of people recently interacting on the hashtag, which has been really, really good. Lots of positive things being said about the show. Which is just really nice to hear, isn't it, really?
Yeah.
Yeah. So this week, there was a certain tweet that caught my eye this week.
Ooh.
Yeah, so I'm going to tell you about that one. So I saw this tweet, and the reason why it caught my eye is because it's around a topic that we see quite a lot brought up on the hashtag. It's something that people talk about quite frequently. And also the person that tweeted it actually tagged in Lynn McGranger, who plays Irene, and Shane Withington, who plays John Palmer as well. So
JP, that's JP.
JP to you. Yeah. Anyone that's a friend of Dean is a friend of Palmer. So it caught my eye because Lynn actually replied to this tweet, and I thought what she said was really interesting. So I'll tell you about that. So Mark Adamson tweeted, I've often wondered why Home and Away drifted away from its concept of a show about foster care and adoption. Could this I know, kicking a hornet's nest. And then he's asked a question, could this help boost the show? And then he's tagged in Lynn and he's tagged in Shane and put thoughts, food for thought. So this is obviously something that comes up quite a lot on the hashtag, people talking about the original episode, the pilot episode of Home and Away being about Alf selling the caravan park and selling that to a blended family really, the Fletchers with loads of foster kids, and that's how it started. And Home and Away has got this sort of backstory of fostering, adoption, waifs and strays coming to the Bay, needed to be taken in, needed to find homes, people running away from things. There's been loads of storylines like that over the years. So this is something that crops up a lot. But I thought that Lynn's reply to this was quite interesting. So Lynn said, this is often mooted, Mark. I guess like most things around for 35 plus years, the show has changed with the times. Also, does it really need a boost? It's still alive and kicking as far as I know. So I thought that was quite interesting. What do you make of that?
Lynn.
I loved it.
Lynn. Oh gosh, I can see why you've chosen it, Sophie.
I know you and I have talked about this, probably not so much on the pod, but we've talked about this off the pod, haven't we, recently?
Yeah, and I feel like we did do it on a bit on your sake in the not too distant past. Or was it just me and you chit-chatting? I can't remember now.
We were talking about something else, and this corrected it. We were talking about the fact that they didn't celebrate the 35-year anniversary.
Oh yeah, that was right. Yeah,
and the reason why. And then we talked about the grassroots of the show and that kind of thing.
Yeah,
So
we sort of segued into it. Yeah, that's right. And so you and I have, how privately as fans, we've discussed it many times, haven't we? I should say. And you know where I sit on this. I think it is still there. I think Lynn is spot on, and and that's from someone within the show.
Yeah.
And I think that's a sign of someone getting it. That's what they were trying to achieve, and I feel a little bit sort of verified in the way I fit, the fact that she said that, because I've always said I don't think it's gone anywhere. It just has taken a different shape and a different guise. We still have orphans, we still have broken families and all that, blended families and all that stuff, foster kids,
dads.
Yeah, we've got it all. They're just older, and they're just not 15 years old. And the data will be there somewhere that probably says watching it we're older, and the majority of the I get it, young characters, kids, they're important stories too.
Yeah.
And I'll be the first to say we're lacking in a bit of it. Everyone wants the school back. I personally don't miss it, but wouldn't be annoyed if it was back. But at the moment it doesn't fit. There's just no kids about. We can't just suddenly throw a load of kids in.
Yeah.
Something you and I talked about recently, the whole community kitchen.
Yeah.
I thought that could have been a good way to sort of scratch that itch, if you like, because the community kitchen could have youngsters again, sort of coming through it on like a temporary, like 1 episode, 2 episode type basis,
Yeah.
And we get to learn a bit more about sort of, because obviously in Australia today, there's going to be kids in the care system, that's still a relevant thing to cover. But
I think they missed a trick with Rue there, because like Rue's at the moment, she's a bit floaty, isn't she? She's not really doing anything, and then obviously she's thrown herself into fundraising for the community kitchen to get the van recently, but she's not tutoring anymore because she's a bit wary now after everything that happened with Marilyn's daughter. But Rue, didn't she come from a counselling background, and didn't she work in a school years ago? And I'm wondering whether she could have done something else to do with the community kitchen based on her, her previous incarnations, her previous jobs. And she could have been a volunteer counsellor or something, or maybe a career guidance. I mean, they did sort of talk about stuff like that, didn't they? When they were thinking of fundraising ideas and things they could do to help out with the community kitchen, Marilyn and her were talking about like, you could do tutor sessions, or you could do like careers advice or whatever it was. And then they decided to ask the volunteers at the kitchen, and what they said was, we need the money, we need a new van. So all those ideas that they had have gone, but it doesn't mean they couldn't do them as well. I don't know. I feel like that would have been a nice sideline for Rue.
And then that could have been some of these families, some of these young kids in the system. It could have led into a little bit of that, but not bring them into the full fold. The cast, I don't know whether there's probably loads of other things. I know we've all got a wish list of what we want, what we would do with it if we were in charge, right? You play that game. If you were the next producer, what would you do? And at first I do this, I kill this person, I do this, and I think many would bring the school back. You see it a lot, and that sort of feeling. But
I tell
Yeah.
you something else that we've talked about. I don't think we've talked about it on the pod, but I know we've talked about it on our subscriber episodes, where we've talked about scandals essentially that have been.
Oh yeah.
If you put home and away scandal into Google, you get an absolute minefield of stuff coming up, which we have talked about, and a lot of that has been surrounding the younger cast members. So there's been
Oh yeah.
a lot of stories of, unfortunately, cast members that have gone off the rails for one reason or another. They've got embroiled with drugs, or they've got embroiled with sex scandals, or those kind of things that grab the headlines, and also a lot of mental health storylines as well in real life, where they've got famous overnight and they're not prepared for it. These are sort of have previously been under 18s or very young adults that have been propelled into the limelight quite quickly. And in Australia, this is a big show. You're walking down the street, people recognize you. And there's been a lot of stories of that. And I don't know whether that has got something to do with the fact that we don't have those young people on the show anymore, perhaps because it's detrimental to their mental health, or perhaps because, I don't know, there's not enough support for them to deal with that being propelled into fame and having money all of a sudden, having a job where they've got all this money coming in and what they're spending it on. I don't know. I'm
Could
just
be right. It could be,
speculating.
Yeah, it could be that. It could be budgetary.
Yeah.
The budget. The cast is minute now. It used to be a lot bigger. The cast is right the way stripped back, and it's quite funny. I was listening recently within the last couple of weeks another podcast where Deborah Lawrence, who played Pippa.
Yeah.
Pippa 2.
Yeah.
There's only one Pippa. She did an interview with Soap. It was the Soap from the Box podcast.
Oh,
And she
yeah.
was talking about rumor, about when talk about Home and Away back in the day and whatnot, and quite a fascinating interview. And she said, when her husband was killed off.
Yes.
Why is his name escaping me? Like the most famous
Which
husband
one?
in Home
There
and
was
Away.
Tom, and then there was
The second one. Who's her husband in real life?
I know, I can't think. I can see the one that drowned.
We're such
He
bad
drowned.
fans. Yeah, what was he blooming called?
It's gone out of my brain. It's gone out of my brain. He drowned, but I can't remember his name.
Yeah. So there was loads of talk about Michael. Michael. Oh my God, how did that escape our minds? You've just saved the whole podcast. Michael was written out and killed off because they could pay for 2 young actors with his salary. She mentioned something about that in the how much truth there is to any of these rumors you probably hear in with things like that. But
I didn't know that.
Yeah, she talks about that in that interview.
Oh,
Or briefly mentions it, talking about the good old days, that kind of thing happened. And she stayed on to sort of pay the mortgage and things like that. So there could be that. The cast is so small. I think we have the smallest cast in Soap. So
we do.
The fact that we have this we can sit and enjoy all these stories, it's just mind-blowing sometimes how this even happens. But I personally agree with Lynn there. I think it has sort of moved and changed, and I think it had to survive.
Yeah.
And we can reminisce, and the nostalgia of the old days is there. But I think that's what the old eps are for. Let's leave that where it was, in my opinion. What about you?
I think I feel the same as you, really. I wouldn't mind if there were more kids on the show. That wouldn't bother me at all. I don't know whether I'd find the storylines as relatable. It depends what they would be, I guess. I've seen the Foster storylines. I've seen Docs turning up and handing over the troublesome young person that needs to be taken in, and that person going on the story arc, where they start off on the wrong tracks,
shoplifting,
and then, and then they get integrated into a family, and then they turn out nice again. I've seen all that. I don't know whether I want to keep seeing that same storyline over and over again. Which, I don't know. I don't think I'd be
Because
watching
everyone
it.
goes, oh, yeah, it's all gangs and whatnot these days. And it's
Yeah,
like, yeah, that's a bit more exciting.
it
TV is not
is.
this.
Yeah, it is
TV,
more exciting. Yeah.
yeah.
I don't know. I don't want to watch something that's like my life or like someone's life that I know, because I want to watch it for escapism. The stuff that I watch tends to be action films, horror films, things that are nothing like my real life, thank God. But I don't really want to watch something that feels that familiar to my everyday, because it's escapism for me. It's something I put on so that I can not think about work or think about family or think about something that's stressing me out, or you know what I mean? It's just pure entertainment for me. Which is why I like these kind of mad storylines that we get.
Yeah.
I do like even the over the top ones, that sometimes I'm laughing. But it's entertaining, and I do prefer that kind of drama.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you think is Lynn going to get in trouble? Because she sounds like she's like,
I don't
what's the
know.
social media policy? She sounds like she's just had enough. Like she's had a vodka and like
I
she's
think
just
she
gone.
sounds reasonable. I think it's perfectly reasonable. He's
Yeah.
tweeted,
Yeah.
he's tagged her in it. He's tagged her in it
Mm,
specifically and said, "Do you not think the show would be better if the storylines were different?" And she's given her honest opinion. She said, "No, I don't think the storylines would be better. I think the show's moved on."
mm,
And actually, I don't think, because he says in his tweet, would it boost the ratings? Would it boost the show if these storylines came back again? And she's within her right to say, I don't think the show's struggling at all. I don't know what you mean. So
yeah.
they won awards last year. They won the Gold Logie for drama last year. I don't think
And
they
it's like
have.
#1 non-news rated
Yeah,
whatever. You see it all
in
online, don't
Oz.
you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
and Channel 7 are constantly, saying how great the show is and how good it is for the economy. There was that whole pamphlet that came out last year. Do you remember about all the things that it does?
Oh yeah.
The
To
fact
the
that there's
Australian. Yeah.
that it brings all this money into Australia because it's sold across the world.
I forgot
Um,
about that.
and it's one of their big exports, isn't it, in terms of TV? So I think
And
she's
it
right.
does great numbers here, I know
Mm,
there was, I think during the whole Neighbours Axe thing last year, there was a bit of noise about it because Neighbours
yeah.
has always been more popular here.
Yes.
It was on BBC,
Yeah.
the most watched channel. But Home and Away does great numbers here. It does like 14% audience share at
Mm,
lunchtime.
mm,
Nothing else on Channel 5 does that during the day.
no.
It's like #1 on My5 on 5 Star. It's the most watched program. Like it does great numbers here as well. Not like it
Yeah.
used to, but no soap
No.
has. No soap
No.
does.
And
Um,
it's different now, isn't it? Because it's not live numbers either. So a lot of
mm,
people are
mm,
watching it on streaming. So
yeah,
we might be watching today's episode now, but someone might be watching the episode from 2 weeks ago because they're on there for a month, aren't they? So how do you really count how many people are watching each episode now? It's quite difficult, isn't it?
yeah, yeah. I think they do. They do though. They do something with it, don't they? And it comes
Yeah.
out a few weeks later. It's a few weeks behind the data, so give chance for catch up and whatnot.
Yeah.
But it's like she said, it's fine. It's fine like it is.
Yeah. It
So
ain't broke. It's not like I don't think the show's in jeopardy. I do think we have got a small cast. You're right. I think at the last count, there's only 21 or 22 people on the show at the moment, and we know
mm,
there's a few of them coming up looking to leave as well. So we're going to go down again unless we've got Marley, we've got new Marley, but I don't know whether we're getting any more new characters. So we're going to be around that 20 character mark again.
yeah.
Which isn't a lot when you look at EastEnders and Coronation Street and the cast list for them. I think
Oh,
Coronation
good
Street's on
grief.
70 people or something like that.
Oh God, that's ridiculous.
It's crazy, but it means you've got that good rotation of stories, and you can have more diverse storylines, and you can have people that don't even know each other feasibly, because then you might not have two characters on screen ever that never have a storyline together. But with Home and Away, you can't really do that. It'd be really weird if two people
Mm,
didn't know each other, because it's quite a small place.
yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. I think do we need more people? Maybe. And then that would obviously bring more opportunities for storylines. But I don't think we need to go back to storylines that we've already, played out.
Already done.
Yeah.
Well, you've heard what we think. You've heard what we think. Perhaps people can reach out to us after this episode goes out and let us know your thoughts. Do you want more fostering? Why? How would you do it? Be interesting to know. Given the cast is now a lot smaller, like how would that work in modern Home and Away?
Yeah, and
because
we've
I
got a
don't
bit of
think
a property shortage, haven't we? Thinking about it, like
Mm,
if we were to bring foster families back, where would they live?
that's true.
It's not just the cast, it's the sets as well that we've got, isn't it? So to do that effectively, we'd need more sets and more people.
Oh no, that sounds expensive, Sophie.
It does. Yeah. It does. Yeah, I'd be interested to hear what other people think. Whether would that make the show more relatable for other people? I think it would make it less relatable for me. But
That's the question.
Would it
be more relatable?
Yeah, is that what they want to watch? Is it not the escapism, the drama that I'm looking for? Are they looking for that, that homely family, familiar storylines, more like real life? I don't know. Is that what people want from the show?
Thank you for listening. We will be back with more episode discussion from Summer Bay soon. Until then, join the discussion online at Coastal News Pod.